Life throws curveballs when you least expect them. For me, that curveball came when I was just 16. A positive pregnancy test. Suddenly, my world of high school, homework, and hanging out with friends was turned upside down. The future I had planned, the one filled with college applications and prom dresses, evaporated in an instant. I was terrified. The whispers in the school hallways, the looks of disappointment from adults, the overwhelming feeling of being completely alone. It was a heavy burden for a teenager to carry. My boyfriend, the father of my child, was just as scared as I was. We were kids, about to have a kid. It felt like my life was over before it had even really begun. The first few months were a blur of morning sickness, doctor's appointments, and difficult conversations. Many people told me my life was ruined. They said I'd be a statistic, another teenage mom stuck in a cycle of poverty. The negativity was deafening. There were days I believed them. I'd look at my growing belly and just cry, mourning the life I was losing. But then, something would shift. I'd feel a tiny kick, a little flutter, and a fierce, protective instinct would rise up inside me. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the little life that depended on me. That's when I decided I wouldn't be a statistic. I would be a success story. That decision was the easy part. The reality was much, much harder. I finished my high school classes from home, studying late into the night while my baby slept in a borrowed crib beside my bed. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. My social life disappeared. While my friends were going to parties, I was changing diapers and trying to figure out how to soothe a crying baby. It was isolating. I remember looking out my window, watching other kids my age live the carefree life I used to have, and feeling a profound sense of loneliness. But in that loneliness, I found strength. I found a community of other young mothers online. We shared tips, offered encouragement, and celebrated small victories together. Things like getting the baby to sleep through the night, or finding a daycare that we could afford. These women became my lifeline. They understood what I was going through in a way no one else could. They reminded me that I wasn't alone, and that being a young mom didn't mean my dreams had to die. It just meant my path to achieving them would be different. Money was a constant struggle. I worked part-time jobs in fast food and retail. Anything I could find that would fit around my son's schedule. I learned to budget like a pro, stretching every single dollar. I bought second-hand clothes, used coupons for everything, and learned to cook cheap, healthy meals from scratch. It was humbling, but it taught me the value of hard work and resourcefulness. Every dollar I earned felt like a victory, a step towards building a stable life for my son. When my son started preschool, a new chapter began. For the first time in years, I had a few hours to myself during the day. I knew I couldn't go back to minimum wage jobs forever. I wanted more for us. I'd always been creative, always loved making things beautiful. So, I enrolled in a local community college, taking classes in graphic design. Juggling coursework, a part-time job, and being a single mom was the ultimate test of my time management skills. There were many nights I'd be up until 3 a.m. finishing a project after my son was asleep, only to be up again with him at 6 a.m. I was fueled by caffeine and pure determination. People still doubted me. A college advisor once gently suggested that maybe a design career was too ambitious for someone in my situation. That comment lit a fire in me. I was determined to prove her, and everyone else, wrong. I worked harder than anyone else in my classes. I took on freelance projects for pennies, just to build my portfolio. I networked, I learned, I absorbed everything I could. I wasn't just doing it for me. I was doing it to show my son that you can achieve anything if you refuse to give up. Slowly, things started to change. My small freelance gigs turned into bigger projects. My portfolio grew stronger. I started getting referrals. The feeling of a client loving my work, of getting paid for my creativity, was incredible. It was validation that all the sacrifices, all the sleepless nights were worth it. I was finally able to quit my part-time retail job and focus solely on my design business. It was terrifying to let go of that steady, if small, paycheck. But it was also the most liberating moment of my life. I started my own small design agency from my tiny apartment. At first, it was just me, a laptop, and a whole lot of ambition. I worked during school hours after my son went to bed, on weekends. I poured everything I had into it. My son was my biggest cheerleader. He'd bring me his crayon drawings and say, "Look, Mommy, I'm doing design work just like you." Seeing his little face, so proud of me, was all the motivation I needed. He was the reason I started, and he was the reason I kept going. Today, that small agency has grown. I have a small team, a real office, and a roster of amazing clients. My son is now a teenager himself, taller than me, and with a heart of gold. We have a beautiful home, we travel, and we have a life I couldn't have even dared to dream of back when I was a scared 16-year-old staring at a positive pregnancy test. It wasn't easy. There were so many times I wanted to quit. But I look at my son, and I know that every tear, every struggle, every sacrifice was worth it. My story isn't about being perfect. It's about being resilient. It's about turning a ruined life into a remarkable one. If you're out there facing what feels like an impossible situation, whether you're a young parent or just someone who's been told you can't do something, please listen to me. Do not let anyone else write your story. Your circumstances don't define your future. Your strength, your determination, and your heart do. You are so much stronger than you think. Keep fighting, keep believing in yourself, and never, ever give up. Thank you so much for listening. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more.